I'm like, hey, I need my payment or we got a hit about it. You feel me? So he like, oh, you ain't said nothing but a word. On everything. He started taking off his shirt and doing all this extra stuff. And I'm like, damn, man, I ain't really want to fight. I ain't really want to fight you, man. You know everybody, you know my whole family.
The whole team.
God.
100.
100.
Double salute. Wildlife 100.
Wildlife 100.
I've been in the trap every day, I don't get much sleep.
Wildlife 100.
Something so real, so real, you can feel it in your knees. I need something like you, do you need someone like me?
What's moving, everybody? Hey, man, you already know what's going on, man. I'm back with another crazy story, man. Hey, before I get into the story, man, I just want to tell everybody I appreciate everybody for liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that. You know, YouTube really been rocking with us. You feel me? Y'all like family now. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, this part series really been going up, man, and I need all y'all to like. I appreciate it. But look, check it. You know, I ain't gonna hold you too long. You know, I just wanted to give my thanks, man. 100 gang in here, you feel me? But listen, we gonna hop straight into the story. Y'all see the caption below. This is part 5 of the day my best friend sent me to jail for the unthinkable. Now, part 4, where we left off at, is the black team hit our pod. They ransacked everything that we had in our rooms. They threw everything out of our rooms and they made us basically pick up everything, and I got on lockdown. I got on lockdown because, number one, I didn't make my bed, and number two, my bunkmate, remember I told y'all he was the chef in the pod. So he had a whole bunch of sugars and salts and spoons and forks and all that stuff like that, which is what they counted as contraband in jail. So we ended up getting locked down for the day. Everybody ended up getting locked down for the day. I'm thinking everybody done got locked down and we're going to be back out tomorrow. You know, that's what I'm thinking. You feel me? I'm thinking they only locked us down for, you know, the rest of that day. I think it might have been like 3-4 in the afternoon. We probably only had like 2 more rotations left or something like that until we had to go in for the rest of the night. The last rotation ended at like 9-10 p.m. or something like that. So I'm thinking my lockdown was the same as everybody else's lockdown, right? And come to find out that wasn't the case. So the morning came. We all went into our rooms, and the morning came. When the morning came, I'm hearing all the doors getting popped. All the doors getting popped in my section, right? Remember I told y'all I was on the bottom row. And it's crazy because I'll never forget this sound. Being in jail, bro. You're woken up by your door getting popped in the morning. That's how hard that's how loud it is. It's like boom, 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 boom. Like all these steel doors just opening, right? Down the line. You feel me? Remember I told y'all I'm room 208. So they pop 201, 202. It's like doom, 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 doom down the line. You feel me? So when they pop my door, I pretty much hear it. So they didn't end up popping our door. They popped every door from 201 to 207 and then popped 208. You know, my bunkmate, he was already up at the window looking out the transparent door, you know, looking at everybody come out for rotation and stuff like that. So I get up and I'm like, hey bro, why they ain't pop our door? You know, I thought we was just on lockdown for the rest of the day yesterday. He was like, yeah, me too. I'm finna see what they talking about. So remember I told y'all it's a buzzer inside every room. So he hit the buzzer to basically talk to the police officer in the center station in the middle of all the pods. So he hit the buzzer a couple times, and it's crazy because these folks, you could be in there finna croak, fool, and these folks gonna take their sweet time answering that buzzer, fool. I'm talking about they don't care about you in jail, straight up in the Cobb County for sure. So he tapping the buzzer 1,000 times, but he finally answered the buzzer, the police officer. And he like, what? My bunkmate like, hey, what's going on? You know, you didn't pop our door. He like, y'all on lockdown for a week. The lieutenant is charged of that. So I'm like, a week? You feel me? A whole week. Mind you, it's like, I ain't just too mad because at the same time, it's like, bro, I don't know what's out there. I don't know none of these folks. I don't know how crazy these folks is or anything like that. But at the same time, I'm mad because it's like I definitely want to see what's going on. You know, I'm the type of person I like to face my demons. You know, I like to face my issues or whatever the case it is. not necessarily like to, but I be wanting to get it over with. You know, like if you mean me any type of harm, I want to get it over with. I want to see what it's about. You know what I'm saying? I want to put it behind me at this point. I don't want to live in fear or anything like that. So I'm like, wow, bro, 7 days, and I'm talking about 7 days, 23 and 1, fool, because we only really got out to take a shower, and that wasn't even an hour. We probably get out for 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes just to take a shower for the rest of that whole week. But you know what? It was what it was. You know, I'm the type of person I like to look at the better side of things, because what else can you do, especially in jail? So I took that time to really get to know my bunkmate. We sat there and we talked from sun up to sundown. You know, that's really all you can do. And I also seen how other people responded and reacted to him, because people would come to our door and talk between the flap. We had a little flap where other inmates could come to your door, and it's really, the flap was for lunch. They put the lunch in the flap of the door so we can both get our lunch. That's how we was being fed, like, every single day for that next week, you know. But inmates, if they had something to tell us or anything like that, or tell any other inmate, you can use the flap on the door and basically talk through it, like put your face through it. Put your face through it and kind of, you know, relay messages, because those doors were so thick you couldn't necessarily talk through the door. You really had to bend down and talk through that flap. So I got to see how other inmates really treated my bunkmate. Come to find out, this guy was kind of soft, you know, like, he knew what he was in there for, and he didn't necessarily ever want to try his luck, you know. So the inmates used to come to the door and basically ask him to make stuff for him. You know, they would gather up certain stuff when Stowe came. And if y'all don't know what Stowe is basically, they give you a sheet in jail once a week. They give you a sheet and you can fill out all of these items. It's like a Scantron, right? And they got Snickers on there, do-rags, all these candies, chips, and stuff like that, and the prices. And depending on how much money you have on your books, that's how much money you can spend at the store. You know, you don't gotta spend all of it. You can save it per week or whatever the case like that. But they would hand out these Scantrons. We would fill them out, and we would buy stuff on the store. And the store came like every Tuesday. That was also my visitation day. So within that week, folks was coming to my room and basically talking to my bunkmate and asking them to make them certain stuff. You feel me? That was, not only was that how he made some of his money in jail, but that's how he kept certain people off his tail in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Cause you know, they already didn't like the fact that he was in there for what he was in there for. Like, that's always frowned upon in any jail, in any prison, anywhere you go. So I got to see that, and I noticed, like, bro really a softie, you know? Like, we talked from sun up to sundown and all that like that. I really got to know him, you know? And to be honest with you, bro, talking to him, I still kind of feel like he did it. He was facing like 20-something years, you know? And the story that he gave me about the whole situation, and because he ended up breaking down to me, not necessarily crying or nothing like that, but he ended up feeling comfortable enough with me in that 7 days to, like, not only break down his case, but break down what actually happened the night that he was arrested and accused, you know? And it didn't really necessarily sit right with me, but, you know, to each his own, you feel me? I can't really judge. I don't know the extent of the situation or what everybody got going on, so I just let them have that. If you say you innocent, you fool. It didn't necessarily sound right to me, but it is what it is. You know, I'm not taking you home to my family. You feel me? So the day comes when they finally pop our door, bro. It's like day 8 after 7 days of hearing everybody else door pop, hearing everybody else in the day room not necessarily have fun, but, you know, playing spades, watching TV, stuff like that, you know, just having more so of a life than I was able to have. You know, we was locked up, being locked up. You know what I'm saying? How you locked up twice in jail? You feel me? That's it. We was locked up 2 times in jail. They finally popped our door, bro, and the first thing I did was I hit the phone. So my mama, they popped the door kind of early. I know my mama. I knew she was at work and she wasn't at on lunch or anything like that yet. So I called my brother because for some reason while I was on lockdown, I just kept thinking about my boy Blue, R.P. Justin Mouse. You know what I'm saying? And mind y'all, if y'all been watching the I Robbed the Plug story, then I just told a story about the last time I seen him, or I just mentioned about the last time I seen him. We had a block party and all this stuff like that. Like we got locked up pretty soon after that, like maybe a couple months or something like that. You feel me? Maybe a month after that. So he just was on my mind, bro. He just was on my mind while I was in the pod because nobody knew I got locked up. I literally got locked up and wasn't able to tell nobody. I wasn't able to call none of the women I was dealing with. I wasn't able to call none of my friends. I wasn't able to call nobody. You feel me? The only person that knew was my mama and the people that my mama told. So he was just heavy on my mind, bro. So I called my brother and my brother Tez. I also mentioned him in the last video. Tez is the one that was staying in Stone Mountain, and come to find out I was dealing with he pulled up on me at a party, and we both found out that I was dealing with his partner girl. You know what I'm saying? She was freaked out. You know what I mean? And I ended up telling him on mistake. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, y'all gotta tune in to all these stories, bro, cause they starting to connect. You feel me? So bro, I called my brother. He like, yeah, what's up, bro? You good? All this, all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, everything all right. But listen, I need you to call Blue for me. I need you to figure out where he at. I need you to tell him that I'm locked up. You feel me? I ain't just leave him out there. So he ended up calling this mutual girl that we knew. And shout out to Shouty. He ended up calling this mutual girl that we knew and put her on three-way. When he put it on three-way, I'm like, hey, what's up with Blue? Where he at? I need him to know that I'm locked up. I don't want him to think I just left him out there to dry. That was my dog. You feel me? That was like one of my best friends too. It's just he stayed on a different side of town. So the guys that really told on me, they were my best friends also, but more so because of proximity. Like we was all best friends. Me, Big Boy, and Vontae, we was all big best friends because we always were together. My boy Blue, he stayed on the south side. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't see him as much as I wanted to. She was like, man, you ain't heard? I'm like, what? She said Blue died. I said, what? How that happened? My boy ended up getting into a car accident with his girlfriend, bro. She allegedly got into an argument with him while they were in the car. He was driving. She hit the steering wheel or something like that, and you know how girls be like, how folks just be acting like they crazy when you arguing, and I hit this steering wheel, or I make us crash or something like that. I think it was one of them cases. She hit the steering wheel and he lost traction of the car, and that was all she wrote. And I said, dang, bro, like, what a way to go on top of that. You feel me? I never would have expected Shawty to go like that, especially how we was out here living. Like a car accident is crazy. I'm glad it wasn't any other way. It wasn't by the hands of another man, because then I would have had vengeance on my mind. That was just a sad situation. I was like, ain't no, that's the reason why I kept thinking about this man. I just kept thinking about my bro in on lockdown. I just knew, it was like I almost knew it happened, and it happened within those couple days that I was on lockdown. That's the even crazier part. So I'm like, all right, I was pretty sad about that. So I chopped it up with my bro for a second until it was my mama lunchtime. I knew when her lunchtime was, so I'm like, all right, bro, I'ma hit you back. Let me call my mama. So and everybody had time on the phone. Everybody was basically waiting for me to call. Nobody knew I was on lockdown. I had to tell everybody I was on lockdown. They just made sure they had money on the phone for when I did call. So I ended up calling my mama. Perfect timing. She was waiting. She had just got on lunch break. She was waiting to hear from me. So I gave her the rundown. I'm like, yeah, man, I got locked down because of this, because of that. All this. I'm straight. Everything good. And at this point, I had just found out my bro was gone. Um, everything was just hitting me. Remember I told y'all the night before or the week before I had broke down and cried. Now, within this whole week, I'm sitting here thinking about everything. I'm thinking about my bro. I'm thinking about just everything and everybody. I'm thinking about the situation I done put myself in, and I'm like, man, it's time to man up. You know? So I devised a plan in my mind, and I told my mama, I'm like, listen, don't put no money on my books. Don't put no money on, because I had already got locked up with a couple $1,000s. The rest of my money was somewhere hid at the house. It wasn't too much. I had more tree than money. You feel me? Because like I told y'all, we had folks working, and I know when after we got locked up, it was like they pocketed most of that money. You feel me? Like, cause we had most of our stuff in the trap, and they was working it. They ain't put no money on our books or anything like that. That's just how it be. I told my mama, I'm like, listen, this how this thing finna go. First off, she told me, I forgot to tell y'all this. When I got on the phone with her, she said she talked to the state, or she talked to whoever she was supposed to talk to. Come to find out, my bail was 100,000 cash, bro. I was in here on $120,000 cash bond, bro. Now what that means is you either give up the whole amount, $120,000 in cash to make bail, or you give up property that's worth double. That's worth double or a little bit more than the actual amount. So we didn't have either. You know what I'm saying? And this made me think too, like all of this I was doing out here in the streets, all this robbing, all this that, and I can't even pay my way out of jail, bro. Like this was a real wake up call for myself as a man and as a street nigga. Like this really made me question my whole existence for the last couple years. I'm telling my mama like, all right, this how this finna go. Don't put no more money on my books, because I didn't want her to have to worry about anything at this point. I done put myself in this situation. I don't want you to stress about me any more than you have to. I'm good in here. Just do whatever you can to try to get my bail dropped, to some extent, because we cannot afford $120,000 right now. You know what I'm saying? My brother, come to find out, because she locked me in on a three-way with him. Later on in that phone call, his bail was like 150 or 180,000. We was in here like, don't know what we finna do. So I'm telling my mama like, listen, don't put no money on my books. I got locked up with about $2,000. I'ma just make that last for however long I'm in here. I'm only gonna call you now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Only 2 days a week now. Don't expect no call from me every single day. I don't want you to feel like you gonna miss my call. I need you to understand when I'm gonna call. We just gotta move a little more militant. You feel me? To preserve your feelings, your emotions, and for me to get acclimated into this situation. So of course she didn't wanna abide by that, but it was like, listen, this is what it is. You feel me? This the best for me, and it's the best for you. So this is what it's gonna be. So she respected it, and I got off the phone with her. When I got off the phone with her, man, I hung that phone up. It was time to go in for after my rotation, and like I told y'all, this whole week, that whole little 8 days, bro, everything just started hitting me. It was like I was literally growing into something else within that time period, bro. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it's like, all right, it's time for me to hang this phone up. I literally hung the phone up. And because the phones are connected to the wall, right? When you're on the phone, you facing the wall and everybody else is behind you. I hung up the phone and I said, when I turn around and face everybody else, I'm going to be a different man. I literally went through this in my brain. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's time to get in the mix. You feel me? So I turned around, and when I turned around, everything changed. But it was time for us to go in for rotation. I had already been on the phone until rotation was about over with. Like, we ran it up on the phone. I ain't gonna lie. My mama kept wanting me to call back because she wanted to make sure I was straight and all that like this. So I ended up talking to her for the whole rotation. When I turned around, all the doors was getting popped. Everybody was going inside of their doors. So I went inside my door. And, I kicked it for the rest of the night. I game plan. and I got ready for the next day. That next day, I'm like, all right, it's game time. You feel me? I gotta get some motion in here. Before they even pop my dough, I'm devising a plan as far as the how I'm gonna make money in here and basically do what I gotta do. You know, stay busy, make money, make sure I get to know these folks in a certain way. You know, not necessarily get cool with them because I don't want to get cool with nobody at this point. Like all my feelings in certain ways was gone. You feel me? It wasn't no more fear, wasn't no more nervousness, wasn't no more none of that. At this point in time, I gotta make sure I can provide a certain stability for myself in jail. You know, it's time to be a man. So for anybody who don't understand getting money in jail, it's not necessarily getting money. The money in jail is commissary. You feel me? So you do like a 2-for-1. Like for instance, if you say you let somebody borrow a honey bun, now they owe you 2 honey buns or whatever. Or it might be 3 honey buns, whatever the case, whatever you want to charge. But the money is snacks, and the money is snacks and services. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I gotta get rich off snacks and services in this thing. You hear me? So I devised the plan. I'm like, all right, I got about $2,000 on my books. I'm finna go to the store. I'm finna make sure I'm stacked up. So I waited until they sent them scantrons in, and I sat out there on rotation one day, and I just filled out my scantron. Mind you, Slim, if y'all watch part 4, then y'all know Slim was one of the first people that came up to me talking to me about certain stuff. You know, he was all in my ear. You know what I'm saying? He just was one of them people that just talked to me every single day that we came out. I wasn't talking to nobody else. I ain't have nothing to say to nobody else. It was that's just the way it was. I allowed them to think I was a mystery, you know? So when I did say something, it was powerful, and I meant it, and folks took it seriously. For the next couple weeks, like I told y'all, I filled out my scantron, and I made sure I had a whole bunch of snacks in my room. And this wasn't like prison. Like, we didn't have open dorms, so we can buy a whole bunch of snacks, put it in our crate in our room, because they gave us a crate also. You know, along with our net bag, we eventually ended up getting a crate, or we might have to buy the crate on the store. I don't remember, but we ended up getting a crate where we can put all our clothes or all our commissary in it and stuff like that. I had got a crate. I put it on top of my bed, and I slept with it every single night. I ended up going to the store, and I bought a whole bunch of stuff. And when they called me for store, when they call you for store, you get store in front of the entire pod. So everybody pretty much know what you got going on, right? So when they called me for store, I went all out. I got like 2-3 bags of store, like 2-3 brown paper bags, the big ones. You know what I mean? They called me out, and I needed help taking my stove to the room. You feel me? So now everybody know I got the stove. So fast forward, I'm doing business with everybody. Everybody know I got the stove. So now I'm doing certain businesses for whatever it might be, whatever I want in there. It was more so folks coming to me because they needed stuff. Because I never put myself in the position to need anything from anybody. So a couple weeks where I rolled by, right? And this when it get real. So remember I told y'all about the guy with the gold teeth that looked like Trick Daddy. You know, the one that was in jail for basically doing his wife in with an axe. Right? He come to me and he like, hey, Lil J, let me hold something until Stow Day. You feel me? Stow Day is a week from now. He might have wanted some Cheez-Its or some Cheez-Its, some honey bun and some Kool-Aid or something like that. So I'm like, all right, bet that's 3 items. I'm gonna need 6 back. You feel me? So I'm seeing everybody go to the store every day, so I'm kind of knowing that he ain't necessarily good for it. You know, 6 items, because when it's time to pay, bro, that's when folks get to acting differently. You know, because it's like, everybody ain't having commissary money. Like, some of these folk done been in here for a year, just sitting. They folks is having to upload them money every week or every other week or something like that. Some folks only got $20 on stove and stuff like that. I'm spending like 50, $60, $70 at the store sometimes. Well, really only a couple times, because after that, everybody else was paying me, you know? So I'm like, all right, bet. I got you. You just gonna have to give me 6 back. 3 for 6. So he like, all right, cool. Something told me that, because like I told y'all, I see everybody what they go to store with, you know. He don't necessarily, his store don't be as big as everybody else all the time. You feel me? So something told me, all right, this next store call, fill out this sheet and buy you some shoes. You know? You can buy shoes in the county, fool. I bought shoes, and the only reason you buy shoes in the county is because you either gonna be a trustee, you gonna play basketball when it's time for rec, or you active. Like you gonna get the fighting. And I pretty much felt like it was gonna be a brawl. You know what I'm saying? I didn't wanna not conduct business. So I did the deal anyway. But I just made sure I got, because it wasn't hurting me. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. And plus, this would give me a chance if I had to. I didn't want to, mind you, because he was like one of the biggest people in the pod. Not big as in wide, but big as in tall. You feel me? And he was in here for the most heinous crime. So it wasn't like I necessarily wanted to demonstrate on him. You know what I mean? But if it had to be there, it had to be there. And that's what it ended up being. You feel me? So check it out. The day come when it's time for Shawty to pay me, and I'm like, all right, we on lockdown. You know, he come out before us. You know, remember I told y'all he on rotations. He was at the top, so his rotation came out before our rotation that day. They was morning time, so I'm like, hey, when that stove come, you feel me? I need me. You know, so he like, all right. I noticed he was acting a little different, like a little push offish. You feel me? And mind you, this I'm like 2 months into my sentence or something like that. You feel me at this point? So I'm well acclimated. You know, everybody pretty much know what I got going on. They know me, they know whatever. You know, they just ain't never seen me get busy. So he get to acting different. You feel me? Like real standoffish and stuff like that. Like he was slick trying to avoid me. Even when I'm telling him like I need me, he like, all right, yeah. You know, he like kind of brushing me off. So Stowe ended up coming, and we come out for rotation, and I go knock on his door. I'm like, hey, I need that. You know what you got? Cause I just seen you go to Stowe. He like, man, I'm gonna have to get you next Stowe, bro. I ain't get as much stuff as I thought I was gonna get. They shouted me on this, they shouted me on that. So I'm like, oh nah, we ain't doing that. We can't do that, because at the end of the day, that's how folks leading you on. That's how folks don't end up paying you at all. Because if I wait till next week, then what's stopping you from making me wait till the week after that? You feel me? So I'm like, nah, bro, I can't wait, bro. When you come out on rotation, you gotta pay me with your food or with your something. But I need me, you know. I'm willing to settle for this. I even gave him a deal. I'm like, I'm willing to settle for this if you can't do the 6, cause I understand, you know, your situation. You feel me? So he like, all right, bro, just you ain't gotta talk to me like that. You know, now he trying to make certain other little issues a issue. You know, like now it's how I'm talking to you. Nah, forget how I'm talking to you, bro. You owe me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, whatever, cool. And then, you know, my bunkmate was kind of sweet too. He was big, but he was kind of sweet too. You feel me? Because of his charges. So, you know, I'm guessing he thought he was really finna get over. So he ends up coming out on rotation. So I ended up being able to get out on his rotation because I traded rooms with somebody else in the jail. Now, how you do this is, all right, somebody upstairs, I talked to somebody upstairs that was, you know, on his rotation. And I'm like, hey, switch rooms with me for this rotation. You stay down there in my bunk, and I'm going to stay down here in your bunk with your cellmate so I can confront Shawty when I get out. You know, folks love drama. So that's all I had to say. So I ended up being at the top rotation when rotation came out, and Buddy didn't even see it coming. So we all came out for top rotation when it was time to come out, and it was like a ghost when he seen me. You feel me? He slick wanted to tell on me on everything. He wanted to tell that I skipped my rotation and I'm in the wrong room and all that. You feel me? Like, but you know, he didn't want to be no snitch. I'm like, hey, I need my payment or we gotta hit about it. You feel me? So he like, oh, you ain't said nothing but a word. On everything. He started taking off his shirt and doing all this extra stuff. And I'm like, damn, man, I ain't really want to fight. I ain't really want to fight you, man. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping, you know, you were just gonna see the real in what I was saying, and you were just gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this, but you know, this is what I'm thinking. So mind you, I told y'all that shouted tall, you feel me? So he like, yeah, you ain't said nothing but a word. And all this, he get to taking his shirt off. So I'm like, oh, bro, you doing too much, fool. Like, you trying to get the deputy in here to stop this before it even start. I seen that in him, you know. Even though he was in here on this crazy, heinous charge, it was like, bro, anytime in jail, this is what I learned. In that short amount of time, when they make a scene, they ain't really about that. You feel me? So I'm like, bro, calm down, fool. Even some of the other inmates that came out on rotation was like, calm down, bro. Like you tripping, like you acting like come on, bro, you acting scary. You feel me? So he put his shirt back on, and I'm like, listen, such and such, the same guy who I had just shared a room with upstairs. I'm like, hey, can we use your room real quick? You feel me? Cause we gotta get this off. You know? So he like, yeah, bet. Because when we come out for rotation, we come out, they give us like 5, 10, 15 minutes or something like that to get all our belongings together, brush our teeth, wash our face, you know, use the bathroom, whatever the case, and then come outside and close our door. Because once our doors is closed, it's a wrap. We out on rotation until it's time to go back in. You feel me? The doors don't get popped no more. So within that 5 to 15 minutes, we got to squabble. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, can we use your room real quick? He like, yeah, bet, let's do it. So I get a towel and I put it over the door. So if the officer looks in the pod, he can't see what we doing. You feel me? So I put the towel over the door, and the tall guy walks in. He walks in and I walk in behind him. So I'm already putting my hands up. You feel me? Because I'm like, you know, it is what it is. I'm finna get off first. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna waste no time because this guy already bigger than me. He ain't here for this charge. I gotta get off. You feel me? Then I done talk too much. I done put myself in this situation. You feel me? I gotta get the best of this man right now. You feel me? So I get to put my hands up. As soon as I put my hands up, he get to try to talk. He trying to talk. He trying to talk it out. You feel me? And I'm like, nah, fool, ain't no talk it out. Like we gotta do what we gotta do, or else you need to pay me. So in the middle of him talking, he swung on me, fool. He swung on me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, bro. Luckily, I slipped it. I don't know how I slipped it. I don't know where this move came from. You know what I'm saying? I used to watch Dragon Ball Z when I was younger and stuff like that. You feel me? I guess it just kicked in. I don't know. but you know what I'm saying? I always been a good fighter. You know, I ain't never just really lost no fight, you know, in high school or just on the street or anything like that. But I wasn't no professional fighter. I don't know how I slipped this little move. He shot at me while I was talking, you know, and I slipped it. And I ended up, it was like a reflex, fool. I ended up reaching all the way up there and hitting him with my left, fool. I hit him so hard, he was like, ooh. He backed up a little bit, and he was like, all right. You know what I'm saying? He get to putting his hands up, and he was done. He didn't want to fight no more, you know. Apparently, he had other stuff to worry about, you know. This is where all this coming out now. You know, it's like, I don't know. I guess he's seen the heart in me. On top of the fact that I just hit him real hard. I'm talking about I know I hit him hard because my hand hurt. I was glad I didn't have to hit him no more because my hand was hurting so bad. You feel me? He had gold teeth. I popped him in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, his teeth was hard. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, all right. I got you, Lil J. Listen, I'm gonna just give you my tray. And now what his tray is basically his dinner. for the day. I'm gonna give you my tray, and I'm gonna give you like 2-3 more items. You know, basically what I told him that I would settle for at the beginning. So I'm like, all right, bet. And man, I walked out of that room, fool. I walked out of that room, chest out, chin high. You know what I'm saying? And everything was all good. I'm talking about. I felt so good. You feel me? So I ended up they ended up closing the door and all that like that, right? So I ended up working my way back in my room. You feel me? Because remember I told y'all I end up finessing to be upstairs. So I kicked it outside for a second. Then I ended up working my way back in the room. Cause I got my bunkmate to push the button and ask to come free for something. You know, I don't know if it was to take a shower or something like that. And he went on ahead and did it. So when he did that, the guy that was downstairs with him that's supposed to have been on top rotation, he came out for his rotation, and I went on ahead and snuck in the room. You know what I'm saying? So then my bunkmate, he like, bro, what happened? What happened? I'm sitting there telling him what happened. You know, he happy because he finally got somebody in here that he feel like is hitting on something. You know, I don't know if he felt like I was gonna protect him or anything like that. You feel me? But I'm like, nah, listen, bro, I'm a hustler. You feel me? I ain't in here to be in here fighting or anything like that. So, you know, and this is what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? But I told him the story and what happened and all. It wasn't a long story, but, you know, I'm sitting there hyping it up. You feel me? And we piped in there. You know what I'm saying? He had done made a cake or something. You know, we kicking it at this point. You feel me? Because remember I told y'all I got the snacks. I'm like, yeah, here go a honey bun. Here go this. You know what I'm saying? Make us an apple pie or something. Make us something. You feel me? I don't remember what he made. He made a birthday cake. That's what it was. He ended up making frosting and all type of stuff. It was dope. So man, that next day, bro, well, we came out for rotation. You know, everybody was calling me to their room. They trying to talk to me. You know, everybody trying to be cool with me at this point because it's like, bro, I really just took down the biggest guy or showed them that the biggest guy in here with the most heinous crime wasn't really hitting on nothing. That's one thing I learned about jail too, bro. You get locked up, fool, and it don't matter how gangster somebody is, bro. When you stuck in a situation, bro, it's you really see who people are. You feel what I'm saying? So, man, for that next couple weeks, I'm living on cloud 9. You know what I'm saying? I called my mama. I told my mama, you know what I'm saying? She don't even want to hear it. She nervous. She nervous about every little thing. You feel me? She still thinks somebody gonna take me in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? On everything. She be watching all them prison stories and stuff like that. You know? So fast forward, man. You know, I'm still running my business in here and all that like that. I ended up calling my mama. And she tells me that my bail got dropped. My bail got dropped to $60,000, and she on the way to the bail bondsman right now to bail me out, fool. On everything, straight up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm out of here, straight up. You feel me? Straight up on everything. So look, I get off the phone. I tell my bunkmate, you know, I don't tell nobody else because I don't want nobody to be praying on my downfall or anything like that. So we in there, we living on cloud 9. You know what I'm saying? Like he makes some cakes again and all that like that. And 2 days later they pop my dough, fool, and now they telling me to pack it up. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but listen. This ain't it. Because mind you, I'm getting out on bail. I had to go back to jail, bro. And this is a crazy story too. You know what I'm saying? I ended up almost going to trial. I got a dirty lawyer, but even worse, bro. When I got home from jail, fool, I got home from jail and realized somebody broke into my mama's house, bro. Somebody broke into my mama's house, took all my clothes, all my tree, all whatever money I had saved up, and everything. And you will never believe who did it, bro. Drop part 6 in the comments, bro, so I can give y'all part 6, bro. It ain't over. I know this was kind of a long story, but it ain't over. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, it only go get crazier from here. Drop part 6 in the comments, man. But listen, man, I appreciate everybody who been locked in. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, hype me up, man. You know what I'm saying? If you got it, hype me up. You know, if you don't, like. Send this to your friends, your partners, all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to drop for y'all. But hey, man, until next time, 100.